Are you ready for a super successful summer of dentisting in your life? What are things that you can do to be more successful? But also, I don't know if you've noticed, pandemic is still going on in certain ways, so there's a lot of stressful things. So welcome to Talking Nachos. I'm Paul, Dr. Nacho Goodman, and you're going to meet awesome people who can help you do three important things: increase your success, decrease your stress, and reduce the number of times you feel like crying inside a day. So we talk a lot about KPIs, key performance indicators. Mine is crying inside. So I was down to like 22 times a day. The pandemic has shot it back up to 32. So we're going to learn things today to help all of us to develop our dentisting core, our mind skills, our word skills, our hand skills, and our heart at the center. Dental school, very into teaching you how to do crown preps, super important. But there's also things like stress management, how not to go to jail, how to figure out systems, important things that dental school does not teach, but we want to teach you here today. So I'm ready for our first guest. Whenever she is ready, feel free to ask questions in the comments below. Reach out to us. I have the awesome Dr. Jessica as our first guest on Talking Nachos. I've had the pleasure of connecting with Dr. Jessica in a number of ways. I talk about mechanisms of connection, Clubhouse, Facebook. But Dr. Jessica, just start off by telling us, what do you do in your daily dentisting life?
Well, it actually changed as of 2 weeks ago. So daily dentisting life right now is working with the Alchemist Dentist, where I help dentists and the dental teams manage and dismantle imposter phenomenon, perfectionism, and ultimately prevent burnout. So just 2 weeks ago, my entire life changed. I moved across the country, and so I'm taking off clinical dentistry for the next 3 months, and then returning back in September. So the clinical dentistry that I do on a daily basis is specifically treat dental oncology patients.
Oh, really, really cool. So you get a 3-month break of hanging up the handpiece to do this. Tell me a little bit more. It sounds super interesting about burnout and imposter. What makes us feel like this as dentists on the inside a lot? This is Mr. Grumbly. We feel like this inside. Sometimes we don't know where it comes from. And maybe just talk about, what's a normal amount of stress or intensity? And then where does it kind of veer into toxicity?
Yeah. So that's a great question, because ultimately I think we view stress as something that's very negative, but stress can actually be very beneficial. Just like worrying or experiencing fears and self-doubt can be beneficial for us. They're emotions and the way that our body reacts to certain situations, because it could be form of growth or challenge, or you're being placed in an obstacle that is slightly foreign to you, or you're just not as comfortable. So all of those reactions that are happening means that it's taking you outside of your comfort zone. So if it allows you to problem solve, which that's what worrying does to our brains, we worry in order to problem solve, to come up with a solution or an answer. But if it's not beneficial, if it's causing you to ruminate, or it's causing you to feel stuck, or you start to create self-sabotaging behaviors, then that's where the stressors, the self-doubt, the fear of failure, all of that can become quite toxic.
Really great. I don't know if you're familiar with Adam Grant, but I really like him. He's an organizational psychologist. So he has a lot of good he has a lot of good Twitter things. And he said, overthinking's a problem, underthinking's a problem. But, I feel like dentists overthink a lot of things. I know my dentist people, sometimes they want a bite wing of a bite wing of a bite wing to make a decision. So, I can feel like these micro stresses build up. It happens to me in my daily dentisting life with questions. If someone just was watching it and say, hey, Dr. Jessica, you help dentists do one thing better, be a little less stressed out. What's like a tool someone could use to maybe either identify if they're getting burnt out, and then maybe small step they could take to making it better?
Yeah. So the one in particular that I've been working with a lot of people on is when you're in the procedure itself, or if you're in the middle of a meeting and all of a sudden you start to have those spiraling thoughts, or you start to catastrophize. At that point in time, it's the what if questions that can steamroll or turn from a snowball into an avalanche. So it can start with well, what if a complication happens? And then it turns into, well, what if a complaint? What if I get sued? What if I can't pay off my student debt? What am I going to do? But at that point in time, if you're in the middle of, say, a complicated extraction, molar endo, whatever is causing you that stress at that moment in time, that spiraling thought pattern is not helping you. So trying to then get back to the fact that, okay, what do I actually need to do at this moment in time? So it's called stop thought. You're stopping that what if snowball effect from happening.
I like that.
And you're asking yourself, what do I need to do? What is the hang up? What Do I need to take that bite wing? What is that next step so you can actually problem solve specifically? Then
That's
I'm not
a good
saying,
point.
right? I'm not saying that you need to get rid of all those thoughts altogether, because when we push down thoughts, then they just resurface at inappropriate times that we don't need them. The stop thought creates a stop right now, and then you can reevaluate those thoughts where they snowballed at a later time, because at this moment, it's not serving you.
I like that so much. We have a lot of acronyms, as you know, and one of my internal acronyms that dentists fall prey to, but also just people, everybody falls this, as I call it, projection of negativity pond, where, I have an idea and my team might say, but what if this, what if that, what is that? I said, we're just projecting too much negativity. Let's make the best decision in the moment. And then I've added in test, not guess, right? And I just think dentists overjudge themselves too many times because we're not given these tools in dental school, as to what to do. So I love what you're doing, what Dr. Laura's doing. I think you guys is like this dynamic duo. Tell our audience, if I want to learn more about what you do, where can they find you? Where can they see you? When's your next clubhouse? We would love to know.
Awesome. So you can check me out at www.drjessicametcalf.com. I'm across social media platforms with the title The Alchemist Dentist. And our next clubhouse is this coming Saturday, so in 2 days at 10 a.m. MST, where we are talking about the fear of change. Awesome.
I really appreciate all the great contributions you do, Nachos. You've had some amazing posts that have gotten some of the most comments. So I just truly am grateful for that.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Jessica. Really appreciate it. Hang around if you can. If you have to go do stuff, no problem. But we have another guest coming up, so I'm ready for our next guest. This is what we're trying to do, develop our dentistry core. So we have my friend, key resource and sponsor, Teresa, sharing with us how not to go to jail. So quite a negative topic. It would be good to not go to jail. So Teresa, what do you do to prevent dentists and their team from crying? You've helped my team personally. We talk about what you do daily. I think your services as a customer, as a sponsor, are just phenomenal. But, break it down for us. What do? You help dentists and their offices do what?
Well, thank you, Paul. I appreciate your team is amazing and awesome, and I just love all of them. I guess the question would be, rather than try and explain what I do, the question would be, how many felonies did you commit today, doctor?
Right.
And that's a question that most people think doesn't happen in a dental practice. When we think of felonies, we think of strong-armed bank robbery or something sinister as such. But felonies are happening in dental practices every day, all day. They just don't know it.
What's an example of one that's probably happening right now as we speak, somewhere here in the United States, that people are blissfully unaware of that happening, but they're going to be unblissfully, if that's a word, if something happens to them? What's a good example of that?
Yeah, primarily it's going to be insurance coding, and not just even insurance, but coding in general. You've done a base metal crown, you've billed out for a full gold crown. It's something really as simplistic as that. It doesn't have to be intentional. In fact, 99.9% of the time, it's not intentional.
Right.
We just don't know what we don't know. The treatment plan will get put in, an assistant will be quickly trying to chart everything the doctor's saying. And if he says crown on 30, who knows what the choices are, and maybe something gets put in, but then that gets changed in the chair, and then that gets changed again on the lab slip.
Which I love, but I'm guessing this has not worked out well for dentists. They haven't been able to say later, I didn't mean to do it, and gotten out of jail. Did that work for anyone? Is I didn't mean to do it a good defense?
Yeah, I didn't know really is not a good defense, because the information really is readily available, and kind of the same way with HIPAA. I teach HIPAA. I didn't know. It's kind of like getting pulled over by the highway patrol and saying, oh, I didn't know I had to carry my license, or I didn't know I needed my insurance card. Yeah, you knew. You just chose not to for whatever reason, and that's okay, because doctors are busy and they don't teach these things. But I love to be kind of the fraud finder. I love to go down rabbit holes, and my passion is really keeping the practices profitable and protected, because it's not just about, not going to jail, quote unquote. It's about finding that standard of care, and we all strive to treat our patients with the standard of care and treat our patients the best.
I want to jump in because a couple of things you said there. So first, I tell associates and practice owners, don't leave your office till you audit your day sheet, because you don't want to commit accidental fraud. But more likely, you're not going to bill something out. So what I think, you have to protect the practice, which I like, but also enhance your production. So you have this amazing way of, in looking for fraud, you usually find ways for dentists to make more money. Tell us about that. Where are some of these opportunities that dentists they're blissfully unaware of fraud, which they don't like, but now where are they unaware of ways to be more productive without working more hours?
Right, because you're already doing the work. Chances are you're just not getting paid for it.
Yeah.
So what I find mostly when I perform a snapshot is in the perio department, that evaluations aren't being properly coded or utilized. X-rays is an area that is woefully miscoded and oftentimes and mistreatment planned. Perio is a huge thing. I teach oral systemic link, and we are doing way too many bloody prophies. So the way that I find these rabbit holes and find this lost revenue and protect the practices is a program I have called Snapshots Prevent Mugshots.
I like that.
And yeah, it's fun. And what I do is I go remotely into a practice when the practice is closed. I don't want to be disruptive, so I'll work evenings, I'll work weekends, I work around the doctor's schedule. And I just kind of take a deep dive into their system, and I pick random days on the schedule and start with the 8 o'clock patient and open that up and see what I can see. Is the narratives there? Is the documentation there? Is the treatment plan there? Did we do what we say we were going to do? Is the health history reviewed? Are we doing bloody prophies? Did the patient refuse x-rays and we treated them anyway? So there's supervised neglect. There's all kinds of different things. And did we actually code for what we did? So many times I see, 4 bite wings exam prophy, but then I'll go into the x-ray module and the x-rays aren't there. So you just build out for something you didn't do. Well, that's fraud. It's a mistake.
What I want to share is, as in the most authentic way, as someone who's used your services and also, your sponsor our group, every dental practice across the country should run themselves through Snapshots Prevent Mugshots, because you should say, would you like to stay out of jail, have more fun, and make more money in the process? The answer is yes. What you charge this investment? What is the investment for an office to do this?
It's $2,800, so it's about the price of a couple of crowns.
Double your fees, Teresa. They're triple them. I mean, what the value you provide and the lasting impact that you've provided for our office. We talk about, Teresa said this, Teresa said that. It also makes it so much better with communication, because even as simple as being able to share why you're doing a crown helps us talk to patients, because now we're holding ourselves accountable for not just writing crown number 30. It's missing cusp, broken this, do that. So how can our Nacho audience learn more about how they can get their office connected with you for Snapshots Prevent Mugshots?
Yeah, so they can go to, I have a landing page for that program specifically, which is just www.snapshotspreventmugshots.com. My regular website is www.teresashepard.com.
Cool.
And I would love to take your snapshot.
Well, I think every office should do this. You've done it for our office. We've learned so much. You do it in a fun way with these virtual ways. So I appreciate being a sponsor and also helping my office. Thanks so much, Teresa.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, Paul.
Awesome. So we learned about stress management with Jessica. Stop thinking great. Snapshots Prevent Mugshots with Teresa. I'm ready for our next guest. This is what we're trying to do. Not cry inside. Develop our dentisting core. These are people in our neighborhood who can help us. We have Dr. V, the founder of Aerosol Assist, key resource and sponsor. So Dr. V, share with us what you guys do and what you do in your daily dental life and what you've created to make dentists and their hygienists' lives less stressful.
Hey. Well, we created something called the Aerosol Assist. Well, first, in my daily life, I'm just a general dentist.
Awesome.
What ended up happening is, obviously, during the COVID time, me and my best friend had a good amount of time in our hands. And all of a sudden, we realized, you know what? If one of the problems that's always been plaguing dentistry. That's fine. I got it. One of the problems.
Like authentic dental stuff. That happens all the time.
Yeah. So, one of the problems that's always been plaguing dentistry obviously has been aerosols, and obviously COVID just brought that to light again. So we developed something called the Aerosol Assist that's going to go ahead and help hygienists tackle aerosols, because most of the ways that they're able to go ahead and combat that aren't geared towards them. So we created something that's hands-free, autoclavable. All it requires is a simple saliva ejector and a HVE, and you're back in business.
And I want to share. So we met you at that amazing event with Elijah Desmond, and we connected with you as a sponsor. So I just went to my hygienist, in my typical non-detail oriented way, I just said, use this thing, right? And she's great. So she started using it, and then she came back to me. She's like, I need more of these things. They're great. So tell us, you're a hygienist. You get the aerosol assist. How does it work? What does it cost? And how soon can you start using it in your practice?
Okay. Well, the way it works is you get a standard saliva ejector, and then you put it into the posterior portion of the aerosol assist. Once it goes as deep as possible, you then click it in, because there's a pinch point right here. So you come over here, you lock it in place, then you're able to go ahead and actually make it so that it follows the anatomy of the patient. So I like to go ahead and make it touch the body of the aerosol assist, and then it's going to go ahead and hang over there. Now you could use this part over here that's going to go ahead and hang over the lip, and then when you install it.
Nice.
So the best part about this is that you've been working on a patient using a saliva ejector, and a lot of times the patient pulls it out.
Yeah.
For the reason, I have no idea.
Right.
It's usually just because, like they want to go ahead and feel in control. With this, I haven't seen a patient do that, because
That's great.
consciously understand the importance of actually having the aerosols being removed, even though I never actually explained that to them. The other thing is obviously because of the fact that this doesn't necessarily have to go ahead and land on the patient's anatomy, it's a lot more comfortable. Because it's more comfortable, then they don't have to fidget with it anymore. So
this is great, Dr. V. So I know our dentist people. How long have you been a dentist for?
Since 2013.
I'm 2002. So our dentists, I have a thing, #dentist cheap, right? People like a deal. Dentists really like a deal, right? Yes. We are a special level of cheap. If there was a cheap Olympics, we should send dentists there. We would win against other countries, right?
Hands down.
So tell us, what does it cost? What's the investment? So dentists are like, yeah, great product that'll change my life, but I ain't paying more than $8 for it. But I think this is a great value. But I just want you to share, what is the investment for an office to buy these?
Well, it's $299 normally. I think with a special rate that we have with you, it's $269, I believe.
Gotcha.
So it comes out to be $50 a unit, because it comes in a kit of 6.
And this is awesome. I mean, we are sterilizing for each patient. So it's like, buy 2 boxes, get 10 of them. You got them for the day, sterilize them, and make your patient's life easier for $50, and your office life easier for $50. And
not just that, but then obviously the initial cost is offset significantly by the continuous use, because as you continue to use this, it gets less and less expensive, because the only thing you're purchasing is that saliva ejector. Even with the price of the saliva ejector, it's under 30 cents a use.
We got to use a saliva ejector anyway. I mean, honestly, there's been so many things that's happened during this pandemic that just probably would have been good practices unrelated to the pandemic. So Ariel's on here, and it's like, always the joke, which she's one of our hygienists. It's like, are you ready for your shower with the Cavitron? I'm like, not really, right? So it's just nice not to have a bunch of spray going around, just as a standalone thing, right? And I know aerosols have become more exciting due to the pandemic, but I just think it's a patient comfort thing. Our hygienists like it. How can people reach out to you to get this Nacho deal as a key resource and sponsor, Dr. V?
There's a special link, aerosolassist.com/dental-nachos.
Cool.
If they go there, they have they're specific. Obviously, they have to be a Nacho member, right? They're able to go ahead and purchase it directly through us.
Awesome. Saving deals. People are lucky to know me, just like my grandmother used to say. Dr. V, what procedure do you have next after lunch here? What's your next procedure?
A crown.
Crown, not bad, right? It's like 5 out of 10 cry inside. Class 2 on number 14 on someone who doesn't know the meaning of open, 9 out of 10 cry inside, right? Implant impression on number 20, that makes me very happy, right? Can you use a screwdriver to unscrew something? Well, you can restore implants. So awesome, Dr. V. Thanks for being a great part of this community. Really appreciate it. And we'll have you back on some future shows.
Excellent.
All right, awesome. Thanks, guys. So see, you're learning so much here about stress management, stop thought, how to stay out of jail, pretty important topic, and make more money, and then make your hygienist and patient's life less easier by not giving him a shower every time you use the Cavitron. So I'm ready for my next guest here. Awesome. So I have the awesome Dr. Alex from Pear Dental. I am a huge fan of in-office specialists to keep up momentum, to help your patients move forward. So we've had in-office specialists in our office for years, way back before there was even a Pear Dental. I had to find them the good old-fashioned way on the streets. I just walked around the streets asking if a periodontist wanted to work with me. But Dr. Alex and Darius, awesome key resource and sponsor. What do you guys do at Pear Dental to help dental offices?
Awesome. Well, thanks for having us on, Paul. So at Pear Dental, we match freelance traveling specialists with dental practices that want to bring their services in-house. So if you're a GP, you probably want to expand your services, grow production. Probably thought about bringing Invisalign in-house and doing single implants. What we do is we introduce the specialists who are available to help you come do the larger cases. So,
Gotcha.
We could bring an orthodontist in and do braces, or, full arch, or, molar endo, really whatever you're looking for. We've got over 800 specialists across the country to serve practices.
And what you've created to solve a problem is so amazing, because I have a periodontist since 2004 when we started in dentistry. He's transitioning, moving on to his own office. He's expanding. I was pretty upset. I liked them very much, and we also needed periodont. And you guys got us a periodontist who's awesome. She's great. She's friendly, and she's going to come right in and fill these shoes. So let's say you're a dental practice out there thinking, I want to add a specialist, an endodontist, an orthodontist. I don't know if I have enough work. What does your team do in the intake part? Will you guys give some advice on whether you need a specialist or not? Will you tell them what's possible? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always a development process with every practice. I think even if you think that maybe you can fill up the specialist schedule, there's a lot to kind of understand about what it takes to track the patients, how you market the specialist in-house, what sort of cases and procedures you're going to be giving to them. Sometimes we have some practices who think they can just give like the hard cases.
Right.
And, the idea is if you're bringing a specialist in-house, you're kind of raising the profile of your practice. You want to give your patients the best option. So if you have a specialist in-house, you usually want to think about kind of gearing your thinking in that way so that maybe you can keep them busy. But also we talk to the practice about like frequency. Some practices want them once a week. Some it's once every 4 weeks or once every 6 weeks.
You guys can customize it, which is awesome, from once a week to this. I mean, this is just a great way to help your patients, help your team, have more fun, and never have to pick up an endo file again. Pretty good, right? That's a pretty good. That doesn't show up on the stat sheet. You never have to pick up an endo file again. So if someone was watching this, Alex, and saying, hey, I want to learn more about doing this. I want to connect with your team. You guys are so friendly. The onboarding process for us has been great. I like to move them from just find out to momentum, right? Yeah. How can they find out more about connecting with Pear and getting a specialist in their office?
Sure. Well, instead of going to Craigslist and trying to find a specialist there, you definitely want to come to us, because, one of the big challenges is that specialist schedules are constantly changing. And so by, really bringing them onto our platform, we really make more specialists available to the market. So just go to peardental.com. It's pretty straightforward. Or you can message me or my partner, dr.alex@peardental.com, and we'll be happy to hook you up,
And a couple of things I want to share as wrap up is, and first of all, tell my people, the dentist, well, you're a dentist too, special level of cheap. What's the cost for this, right? Will this change my life, help my patients? But I'm not going to pay for it unless it's too expensive. I know yours is, it's not complicated, just different than the aerosol is. How do offices pay for this?
Well, that's the thing is, since I was a traditional dentist, I understand how difficult these things can be to get going. Traditional recruiters tend to cost, $10,000 to $15,000 to recruit a specialist. So we do actually no fees up front.
Awesome.
So that makes it really easy for practice to get started. And what we do is we actually charge a percentage of the specialist production in the practice. So that's around 5%. And essentially you'd be paying a specialist you find kind of on the street or on Craigslist the same amount.
Right.
So really there's no financial impact, I think, other than the fact that we save you a bunch of time and we get you the best match for your practice.
Yeah. And you also give us systems. I happen to have systems for a periodontist, but you also really have an amazing team that helps with the systems, whether it's forms, whether it's instruments. So I think reaching out to you guys is just a Nacho brainer. Add production to your practice in a fun way. It doesn't mean you can never refer to your friend, the specialist, again down the street. I've had specialists in my office for almost 2 decades. We still refer to other people in a collaborative way, but many of your patients will say yes to treatment when they can do it in the office. It's as simple as that.
They want to do it in-house anyway. They don't want to drive around. They don't want to meet somebody new. They don't want to create new records and pay separate bills. There's a ton of reasons. And the reality is that we have a lot of practices who are doing an extra $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in production a month just by making that decision to bring the specialist in-house. Yeah, and I think the obstacle for a lot of people is that they think it's going to be a lot of work. I mean, A, it's hard to find somebody, and B, like, if you've never done specialty before, how do you set up the program? But that's why we're here, and we're going to help you. And we know that the opportunity is there, and that if your practice is producing, we're going to bring you a great specialist.
Awesome, Alex. Text Pear to 215-543-6454. You guys have been amazing friends, awesome sponsors. So glad I met you, and you're really helping the dental community. Everyone else can pop back on if they're still here. We have our wrap-up fun time where I try to introduce people to each other. So these Talking Nacho episodes are designed to be fun, informative. So what I ask my panel before they jump to the next thing is, What is something they learned that they didn't know existed before 30 minutes ago? What's something they thought would be good for one of their clients? What did they find personally interested? Can't talk about yourself, can only talk about someone else on the panel or something interesting. So in case he has to get started on his crown, I'll start with Dr. V. Dr. V, who did you learn from today, or what did you find interesting? I know you found everyone interesting. It's not a contest, but what's something you thought, I'm a dentist, I didn't know that was a thing?
For sure, not trying to go to jail. There's every single time you're doing this, you could go to jail. Like that definitely scares me, because, a lot of times something can be happening you might not be aware of. So it's great to go ahead and shed light, just like, opening up a board and seeing all those cockroaches come out. You want to make sure that it's all getting taken care of. The one I incredibly respect the, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name, for the burnout. That is
Dr. Jessica.
Incredibly important. Like that's probably one of the most important things that every single dentist should go ahead and learn about, because obviously we're workaholics. We're going to work ourselves until, a lot of times in bad situations. So it's really important. Obviously, I'm going to eventually have to go ahead and call to go ahead and get a specialist. So,
I mean, these are just great connectors too. So thanks so much, Dr. V. Teresa, I'll go to you next.
Okay, great. Well, I have a clinical background as well, and I also just recently started with a nonprofit. So I love that Dr. V has the saliva ejector adaptation, because I'm portable now. And so that is an amazing way to reduce the aerosol. There's a lot of little gadgets and things that have been developed over the period of COVID, but I've not seen one like that, and I'm going to check that out for sure. So thank you for that. Jessica, I've never heard of an alchemist dentist, and my brain goes a million miles an hour all the time. And so it's hard to stop it and get back to those thoughts. So I would like to learn more about getting my head in that Zen zone that you know. And I've worked with specialists in-house before like that, and it's an amazing thing. But yes, you can't find the right one. There's always a lot of drama. So I think having a business like yours that actually screens and finds the right meet up for each one is an amazing. So I've learned a lot today from all of you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Teresa. Just the whole purpose of this is just to take sometimes one golden nacho tip away. Dr. Jessica, how about you?
I don't know if I can reiterate any more than what these wonderful people have already said. I want to give a kudos to you, Dr. Nachos, for for connecting people and offering this forum where we can continually learn like this. So that's what I'm going to leave it at.
Appreciate that.
You guys touched everything already.
Oh, that's awesome. And also, I appreciate saying, Jessica, and one of my points is to break down all barriers between sponsors, speakers, dentists, hygienists, because we're all people in this crazy, wacky dentisting world, and you never know who solves your problem. I mean, I'll be at Washington Square Park, and some person who doesn't know where they're going saying, where can you get Mexican food? And I say, go to El Vez, and I just make a positive contact. I'm not getting paid for it. I'm not doing this. So it's like in this dental world, when you're inside of it, someone might say to Dr. V, my new team member doesn't know how to code anyone. And he says, oh, I saw this Teresa on this thing. That's my whole point of it, right? My whole point is someone say, oh, I saw that. And Alex, how about you? I'll finish up with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the larger concept is that sometimes just being a general dentist, it feels like you're alone on this island. And you got to realize that a lot of your colleagues are coming up with really interesting ways of solving problems. And I think the more we collaborate, the more we come together and figure out how to solve these challenges that come up every day, it's just really important. And you're going to realize the more you connect with people, the more you'll be able to have a more successful practice.
Really glad you said that, because I just went to the Manhattan VA PROS program. I told them about Pear Dental at the dinner. And there's something that happens, and maybe Jessica and Dr. V really, and Alex see this. I don't know how this happens with hygiene, Teresa, but you go from dental school and residency, and even though there's a very miserable things, you're bonded together with your co-residents and students, and you have friends. And then you do go out there. And my goal is make Dental Nachos make you feel less alone. Because I said to all of them sitting in front of me, the 10 of them, I said, it's not going to feel like this next year when you graduate and you're in an office by yourself or you're all alone. And I think it's a really difficult transition to going from talking to your co-residents and students to really being on that island, Alex, you talked about, and anything we can do to make people feel less alone in general, especially dentists. So I really appreciate you bringing that to light.
Thanks, Paul.
Awesome, guys. Well, really great episode. We'll get this on YouTube. 2 million people will see it by tomorrow, maybe 3 million. I'm not sure. But share it. And thanks so much for being a part of this.
Thanks.
Hey, thank you so much, Paul.
Nice meeting you all.
Thank you. You too.
As we wrap up, guys, just want to share, if you want to be a guest on Talking Nachos and share your story with our Nacho community in a lot of cool different ways, mechanisms of connection, just text Nachos to 215-543-6454. You can email salsa@dentalnachos.com with any question for you to help you with. We're all in this wacky dentisting world together. The more we care, the more we share, the better dental world we can build together. Thanks, guys.